Okay. So we'll just get started and with a couple of introductions. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jeffrey Liang. I am the program manager for the BayREN program. BayREN is the Bay Area Regional Energy Network. And so just to give you a little bit of background why we're putting this on, we are a collaboration of the 9 Bay Area counties. And so this collaboration receives funds from the, the state to run different energy efficiency programs. The program I run provides rebates for making energy efficiency and electrification improvements to single family homes, actually 1 to 4 unit homes. And so we know that there's a lot of questions about energy in our homes because there's so many different sources of information. And we know that when we go and talk to people, one of the questions is, who are all these people and how do I get started? So that's part of why we are putting this on. We want to answer some of those questions and take all the other, knowing that a lot of people have questions about everything that's happening. It's been a very packed couple of years in terms of energy news. So we wanted to kind of bring some of the experts and the program managers so you can hear straight from the horse's mouth about some of these kind of pertinent questions that people have. So what we will do today is I have a couple of great panelists. And what I will do is we'll go around and ask, as a way of introduction, ask each of our panelists some of the most commonly, frequently asked questions that we get. And we will then take, once we go around, we will then take some questions that people have submitted in the registration. We received lots of great questions. So we picked out a couple of themes and we will address those. And then once we're done with that, we will continue to take questions from the Q&A. And you can currently already type in questions in the Q&A. You can also go in and upvote any questions. If you see one that you say, oh, I really would love to know the answer to that, go ahead and upvote that. And in this third round, we will take any popular questions that come up and just kind of be a little freeform around that. So thank you all. I am going to stop sharing so you can see some of our faces right now. And so, oops, let me do this. Okay, so one of the first questions I want to ask, and actually, let me ask the question and then I will introduce the person who is going to be here to answer it. But one of the most popular questions is, what is the time of use rate and what is the best option for me? And to answer that today, we have Jessica Chancellor, who is a Principal Product Manager with PG&E, specializing in project management with a focus on communication. And Jessica has worked for PG&E for 12 years and is currently leading community-based organization outreach efforts and responsible for awareness on topics such as rate options, assistance programs, and the current time of use transition. So Jessica, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeffrey. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. And you weren't wrong. That is literally one of the top questions we get all the time. What is the time of use rate? And really, when it comes down to it, there are 3 different types of rate plans. Time of use rates are just one of them. We have time of use rates where it doesn't just matter how much energy you're using, but also what time of day you're using your energy. All of that's factored into the way that a customer is billed. And the really great thing about time of use rates is that it puts more control back into the customer's hands as to managing their bill. Because if they can use energy during the off-peak periods, which is any time outside of around 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., then they usually can save money because they're using energy when it's cheapest and when renewable resources are most available, such as solar. We do also have a tiered rate plan, which is just, the more energy you use, the more you get billed, the higher rate that you pay. And then we also have electric vehicle and battery storage rate plan options. And just as those sound, those are designed for customers who either have an electric vehicle or maybe they have battery storage or both. So it's not a one size fits all approach, but time of use rate plans are getting a lot more talk around the towns because we do have a time of use transition that's underway and just about completing at the end of this month.
Wonderful. And what is how do you determine what's the best option for yourself?
Yeah, that's an important question as well, because everyone's trying to save money, right? You want your bill to be as low as you possibly can get it. And if you can do that simply by choosing the best rate plan for you and your household, that's the easiest way. So for that reason, we do have a tool available online. You can go online to pge.com/rate choices, and you can perform a personalized rate plan comparison. And when I say it's personalized, I literally mean that. It is specific to your house and how you've already been using energy. So what the tool does is it takes all the guesswork out of determining the best rate plan for you, and it factors in how much energy you've been using, what time of day you've been using it, and then it gives the customer the estimated cost for each of the eligible rate plans that are available to them. So what better way to do that? I mean, you could literally save money just by getting on the best rate plan for you. But there's also some other helpful resources that are noted here on the slide for you so that you can take a look at the additional information that we have about time of use rate plans, the other rate plan options available, energy saving tips, program assistance, ways to keep that bill lower, as well as, again, understanding what's best for you and your household, because what works for you may not be what's best for your neighbor, or maybe you guys are in the same boat, but it's good to share that information and check it to confirm.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, as in my household, we have a 1.5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. We've started to teach our kids, when to turn off lights, but also to make sure, especially during that 4 to 9 time period, let's run our dishwasher after that, or take showers after that. Just small little things that help keep our bill down. So thank you for that information. I know it's a lot of people have, are curious about it, and thank you for putting those links in. We will send that in a follow-up email.
Great, thank you.
Great. So moving on, another very popular question we get is, what are the most cost-effective improvements? Once you've done what you can behaviorally, we know people, I think having worked in energy efficiency for many years, a lot of people always say, I know I should do something, but should I do solar? Should I do windows? Should I do insulation? So we have a great resource here today, Elena Macias from our Bayren's Home Energy Advisor Program. She's been answering residents' questions for the last year. So Elena, why don't you take it away and let us know what are the most cost-effective improvements?
Hi, thank you for having me. And I think this is the most exciting part of the program, is our program, because we have rebates. And in this case, it just depends on the home. Every house is different. And in California, we deal with a lot of houses back from the 90s. So insulation, for an example, attic insulation, air sealing, it's just different. Heat pump dryers. I mean, that's a big one. and it just depends on the household. And what is very excited about this program, and that I really like working here for, is that people get excited because they already want to make changes. They already want to make any improvements, and why not? Let's take advantage of the rebates that we have. And and they can always call us, and then we can ask questions, and we can advise what is going to be like the best, where to start. And like I said, different people, different houses. And also energy audits, like there's energy audits when, I'm not sure where I want to start. Well, let's, energy audit, and they're going to do a whole inspection in your home, and they should be able to let you know exactly where to start, or where are you losing more energy. And, yeah.
So what are some of the places that they could start? Where can they find some free or low cost energy audits?
Well, we have a list of resources, and we can always email them to them. We have names, phone numbers for the different counties, and we're going to put it at the end so they can have access to it. And also they can always email us, and then we can email that information in the details.
Great. And actually, we, obviously, since I'm running the program, I know about this, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the greenhouse goals and the home energy score programs.
Yeah, the home energy score also, I think that is like very, what I'm gonna say it, a good point to start. I have lots of my homeowners. So, I only have like a 2-point in my energy score, and I give you a list. Okay, well, this is what the problem is, and they can have one of those energy scores too, which it's available. But
so it's sort of like a miles per gallon sticker for your home. Someone comes out and kind of assesses it for you.
Correct.
Yes. Great. Yeah. And then the greenhouse call program, I don't know if you want to.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sure. We also have this greenhouse call program where local youth come out and do, walk through your house and help you install a couple of things to save energy and water. So give you a smart strip so you can, electronics can turn off automatically. Or new shower heads and new LED lights. So you're helping them get some experience. They're coming in, helping you install these items and walking you through your house, and then giving you some energy advice afterwards. So that program just started and will be running throughout the summer. So take a look out for that. You can go to the organization that runs that is called Rising Sun Center for Opportunity. So I think it's risingsunop.org, or just look up greenhouse call on Google. Thank you, Elena. So next up, another question that is starting to get more traction now is, this thing that people hear about, electrification. Some of the questions people have, and I think the answer will be somewhat surprising for a lot of people, is how clean is the electricity that we use? And let's start with that, and then we can maybe go on to that second question. So today we have Colleen McCamey, who is the marketing specialist for Silicon Valley Clean Energy, a not-for-profit community choice electricity provider for Santa Clara, which provides carbon-free, affordable, and reliable electricity for the community. So she is here and she's representing Silicon Valley Clean Energy, but she will talk about just CCAs in general and what they're doing for cleaning our electricity. So Colleen, why don't you start, and I'll pull up some of your slides.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. Yeah. Looking forward to talking about how clean is your electricity. And to kind of get an initial understanding on this is it really depends on your community choice energy provider. And so different CC or community choice energy providers have different mixes of electricity. And so you could see here, these are all of the different community choice energy providers in the Bay Area. And on the call today here, we do have different representatives from each. So we have Felicia from Sonoma Clean Power, Gerald from Peninsula Clean Energy, Jennifer from MCE, Sada E from San Jose Clean Energy, and Cassidy from Clean Power SF. And on the next slide here, you could see where you live and which community choice energy provider serves your region. And so now back to the question, how clean is my electricity? You can go on the community choice energy provider's website and see the different energy mixes, but as a whole, community choice energy providers are really helping to accelerate new renewables statewide and really ensure that the electricity that homes and buildings are receiving is clean, carbon-free, and renewable. In total, community choice energy providers have signed over 10,000 megawatts of new clean energy generation sources and storage within the grid here. And at Silicon Valley Clean Energy, our standard offering is carbon-free on an annual basis. That's sourced from solar and battery storage, wind, hydropower, and geothermal. And so I encourage you all to check out the websites and the power sources on your community choice energy provider's website to see how your clean electricity is.
Is there like like kind of a rough percentage of how much is, I know there's carbon-free and renewable. And I don't know if you could just briefly talk about what those terms mean and how that plays out in our energy mix.
Yes, that's a great question. So there's a couple terms, carbon-free and renewable about your electricity. And so one of the main differences is just kind of the sources of it. So carbon-free means that it does not produce carbon emissions when that electricity is generated. And then renewable is it's from a renewable resource. One thing in our power mix that we like to call out is we have large scale hydropower, and that is a carbon-free resource, but not a renewable resource as defined by the California renewable standards here. So those are some kind of wonkier items about the different terms, but also all of the community choice energy providers have an option to upgrade to 100% renewable, as well as some other choices that can really help accelerate the clean energy transition statewide.
Right. So in general, I think even hearing like 60, 70%, and in terms of, and I know different CCs have different options, but is it, how much percent is like carbon-free or renewable?
Yes, that's I think a question that varies per area, but it is clean overall. So using electricity is, reducing emissions than using natural gas in homes and buildings.
Great. And it sounds like as time goes on, it's getting cleaner and cleaner. So I think there is, I've heard there's these misperceptions where people still think most of our electricity is generated by coal or natural gas, but especially in the Bay Area, we're actually really fortunate that most of our electricity is pretty clean and renewable. So that leads us to that second question. Why are cities banning natural gas?
Yes, another great question. And so a little bit of background too. So cities throughout California are enacting REACH codes or amendments to the state building codes that really encourages all electric new construction, and even for some cities, major remodels. And so there are a lot of factors that go into these decisions made by local city councils and local jurisdictions. And kind of to highlight a few, one is it really helps to improve air quality. So our current building stock within the region contributes to 1/3 of regional air pollution. And so switching to all electric buildings means buildings that do not pollute. And then it also helps promote public health. So avoiding the use of natural gas in buildings really prevents the harmful emissions and release of carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, formaldehyde, and other toxic pollutants that can be harmful to people and pets inside buildings. And it also helps saves money. So it helps, in new construction, you could save thousands from not running new gas infrastructure to the buildings, and even more for larger buildings can be saved. And it also really helps to meet local climate action plans that many cities and communities have these zero emission targets in the climate action plans. And so as long as, gas would be used to heat buildings or power transportation, the paths that zero emissions would be blocked. So these, switching to all electric via these REACH codes can really help advance climate action locally too.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't know if everyone heard, but I have a 1.5-year-old and a 4.5-year-old, and I don't want that carbon monoxide in my house and other pollutants. So I think not just cleaning the air for the earth, but also for our own individual health. So that makes a great transition to our next question, which is, why and how should someone electrify their home? And so to help answer that question, we have John Sutter, who is the General Manager of Applied Building Science, a Sonoma County-based general contractor, specializing in comprehensive conversions of homes from fossil gas burning appliances to high-efficiency electric appliances, and then installing solar system whenever feasible. So John, how do we do it, and why should we be doing it? Oh, and you're on mute.
All right, John to Earth. Thanks, Jeffrey, and happy pre-Earth Day. So electrification, very simply, it is the future. In 40 years, all our houses are going to all be all electric, and the good news about that is there's no performance or economic penalty for going all electric today. The technology of how we heat and cool our house, how we heat our hot water, how we cook, how we charge our vehicles, it's all 21st century stuff. And if you make a full electric conversion, as long as you are a responsible user of energy, there's no reason your all electric bill should be any more than your current hybrid of gas and electricity. The reason we need to do that is our electric grid is much more gentle on our atmosphere than our current situation of filling our atmosphere with combustion gases. I think everybody attending this by now must have heard of climate change and global heating. The biggest single thing we can do is stop burning fossil fuels, and you don't need it in your house anymore. And to get started to do that, you can act as your own general contractor. You can, electrification means you're going to have a relationship with an electrician. And you can buy your own mini split system, which is the standard way of conditioning our house today electrically. That's pretty much not a DIY sort of project. You're pretty much, unless you grew up around HVAC situations, you're going to need an HVAC contractor to do that. Your water heating, there's heat pump water heaters now that if you're a handy person, you can install yourself, or you can hire a company like mine, and we're happy to come out and get rid of that gas appliance and get it recycled. The other appliance is your cooking range. With induction cooking, well, there's a lot of advantages that I could spend 5 or 10 minutes just talking about that. Check it out. It's once you go induction, you won't go back. It's much healthier, keeps your house cooler in the summer, doesn't use any more energy, and to a certain extent uses less than what you do with gas. So we have to electrify everything. We have to electrify our transportation system. We have to electrify our homes. We have to stop burning fossil fuels. And fortunately, we have the technology to do that economically. And actually, there's a lot of benefits that come from making the switch.
Okay. Thank you, John. Yeah, I mean, I have heard some pretty crazy statistics about how when we cook in our homes with a gas stove, it can be probably one of the most polluting events that we experience, that we actually exceed some outdoor guidance levels inside our homes. So if nothing else, if people don't remember anything else from this, make sure to turn on your fans if you have one when you're cooking. But yeah, of course, prevention is better than trying to fix it afterwards. So thank you, John, for that. I will also mention we do have a couple. John is one of our Bayren participating contractors. He can, if he installs some of these items for you, he can help you get that rebate. And I did want to also mention we have a couple other participating contractors in the background answering some of the Q&As. Just wanted to give them a special shout out. They're from Air Care Heating and Cooling, Barnett Plumbing, Commando Plumbing, and Electrify My Home. So they may be the ones that answering some of the questions you have in the background. So that's thank you all for just kind of answering some of those. We get these questions all the time when from Bayren, and all of our county reps probably have received some form of these questions before. Wanted to move on to some of the questions we got in the registration. So maybe quick questions and answers. So I will pose this to the whole group, our panelists. So, one of the most common questions is, what are some simple ways to reduce consumption and energy bills? So, Jessica, Colleen, maybe thought that might be, you might have some solutions for that.
I can take a stab at it to start. So I know the CCA providers, they're our partners here at PG&E, and so we're all looking for ways to help customers save on how much energy they're using, and then ultimately that directly reflects their bill. So if there's ways that customers can do that, we want to make sure that they're aware of it. We do have some resources online at pge.com. There is a couple different ways that a customer can do a checklist of different ways that they can look for tips based on how they've been using their energy. But some of the most common things that a customer can do is simply turn lights off when you leave the room. Like, turn things off if you're not using them. We overall, as a state in California, we tend to be pretty wasteful when it comes to energy use. So if we can do a little bit better in that sense of just not using, not leaving things on when we're not using them. Also, if customers are on a time of use rate, you want to make sure that you're using energy outside of those peak periods. But if you can reduce energy by using, doing laundry when you have full loads, using your dishwasher, maybe on without the drying equipped with it, or simply just raising your temperature on your air conditioning and heating. So of course, medically permitting, if you're able to, the recommended temperature settings would be in the summertime, if you have an air conditioner, to not have it lower than 78. And then for heating, to do your best to keep it at 65 or lower if you can. But again, these are all medically permitting recommendations, and you have to do what's best for you and your health. And then I'll offer to Colleen if she has some other energy saving tips she wants to share.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Those are all great tips. Just one other thing to add is we have some toolkits, and within the toolkits to help reduce energy waste is a kilowatt meter, and that can help to detect different vampire loads or phantom loads. And so you can see what in your home may be drawing electricity even when it's off or turned off, but still pulling that electricity and costing you money. And so there is some different tools that you could identify that in your home to either put that on a smart power strip or make sure to unplug when not in use.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to throw in any quick tips?
This is Larry from Electrify My Home. Thank you for letting me speak in. We have technology available now that we can fully electrify a home on a 100 amp panel, and we install very low energy heat pump systems that are almost impossible to hear and use a fraction of the energy of an old system, where you don't have to go to these radical setbacks like you do a traditional system. We can keep your house nice and comfortable and use significantly less energy with new technologies that are available today.
Great, thank you. Another really popular question people ask are, where do I start and what are the rebates I can get? So I know we have a couple organizations here, and I do, as Colleen mentioned, we do have a couple of the CCAs here. So if you do have questions about your specific area, feel free to put them in the Q&A. But maybe Elena, if you want to get us started on that question.
Sure. We have lots of rebates going on right now. We have rebates for a heat pump water heater. We have $1,000, and we have some requirements that you need to qualify for. One is that you need to work with a participating contractor. And once the project is completed, the contractor is the one who will apply for the rebate in your behalf. And we also have rebates for attic insulation, wall insulation, duct replacement, smart thermostat. We just have many. We have rebates for induction cooktop and also for a heat pump dryer. Those are the only two measures that you can apply for your own rebate. And if you know someone or you know how to do it, you can do it yourself and you apply for the rebate. But yeah, it's over there in the screen, so you can see all the rebates that we have.
And we will send that out afterwards in a follow-up email. You can go to bayren.org and see all the different rebates. Elena is also being a little bit humble in that, we have these home energy advisors who are there to walk you through all these upgrades. And so if you don't know, should you start with windows or insulation, or feel free to call Elena or Jason, who's behind the scenes, or anyone from our energy advisors, and they can help you get started, direct you to not just our rebates, but other rebates. So I don't know, Colleen, if you want to mention some of the other rebates that are out there.
Yes, yeah, happy to touch on other rebates. Each community choice energy provider has a lot of different offers and services and programs and rebates for customers. And so they, all with similar missions to help customers go all electric at home and on the road. There is rebates that include heat pump water heating and other electric technologies. I know at SVCE, we do have a heat pump water heater rebate. So if you're in our service area, feel free to check it out. But I also encourage you to check out the rebates for the community choice energy provider that serves you.
Great. And I will say, the rebates that we had up on the screen that Elena mentioned, you can get up to $5,000 for your home from us, but you can also get some from the CCAs, and you can get some from a statewide program called TEC. For example, for a heat pump and water heater, soon you'll get a couple thousand, which it's actually just launched. We'll put it in the follow-up email, but this is, if you need to change out a water heater, this is the best time to do that, because we have so many different rebates stacked on top of each other. We know it can be confusing, so that's why we have Elena and all the energy advisors there to walk people through, and John with our and other participating contractors who, thank goodness for them, because they can, take all those rebates and figure out who to apply to, and we will help them through that process. So yeah, we are there to help people out with all those rebates. Moving on to another question that was pretty popular is, what should I consider when I'm electrifying my house? I think there's a lot of questions also about, if there's power outages, if there's, what panel size. There's a lot of questions around that. So John, how would you go about electrifying someone's home?
Unmute. Well, I can tell you how we do it. We start with an analysis of your home. We come in as building performance contractors, which is what we've been doing for 18, 19 years now. Put a blower door on there, see how leaky the enclosure is. Look at your windows. We do a load analysis to decide what size equipment you need. Then we give you all that information, and we give you an itemized proposal that's kind of like a menu. We encourage people to do it all at once and have it done. But if you decide that the water heater works for you right now, but the mini split doesn't, fortunately there's agencies that are delighted to loan you the money to make the jump, do it all at once. And then we wire your house so that you have something to plug your induction range into that you buy at the appliance store, and something to plug your heat pump water heater into. And then anytime we can, if the shading situation allows it, we install solar, so that, for instance, I live in a zero net energy home. My utility bill is $10 a month. And that was at the consumer level, that would represent an investment of about $30,000. Keeping in mind that this hardware all should last another 30 years. It's all going to outlive me. And, if you can try doing it yourself, study up. But if you just want to come in and in 2 weeks make the transformation, there are companies that are happy to do that. So did I answer the question?
Yeah, and actually maybe even to kind of build on that, why would you do, is there a certain order you would do things? Go ahead.
Yeah, we've always felt that the typical home, the biggest bang for the buck is actually air sealing. There's kind of a scale between being in a birdcage and being in a refrigerator. Most of our homes are a lot closer to bird cages, and no matter how much money you spend on energy, that home will never be comfortable until those gaping holes allow your conditioned energy to escape. So we start with air sealing and then insulation. Insulation is, you get a lot of bang for your buck with insulation. And in more ways than one, not just in reducing your energy needs, but in improving your comfort, reducing sound penetration. And then after that, we spend roughly 45% of our budgets conditioning our home, keeping them warm and cool. Here in the Bay Area, it's perhaps not quite that much, but so we're big advocates of mini split conditioning systems, and this is not your grandfather's heat pump. There's been some remarkable technological innovations so that we can keep you comfortable with mini splits for less money than firing up that gas furnace that's damaging our atmosphere. And then heat pump water heaters, those are the two big energy users in a house. And then your range is a minor thing, but the big two, you know, I guess the big three would be seal up and insulate your enclosure properly, and then go with a mini split conditioning system and a heat pump water heater, and you're 85% of the way there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning like sealing up those cracks and leaks, because I think one of the things we always try to encourage is we do those efficiency items first, so then you know how much solar you need at the end. So it's like you're not just heating up the house and it's all disappearing out through the walls, and you're paying a lot for those inefficiencies. So that's it's probably the way we should all go about things. So at this time, I see a number of questions. Thank you for those who have been answering the Q&A. But just wanted to surface a couple ones that were interesting. I think the first one, maybe to Jessica here, is I think Jessica mentioned some changes with the TOU time of use plans. Could you talk a little bit more about what those changes are?
Yeah, we are just finishing a very long journey that we have across the state. Really, it's been a statewide effort to move customers from a tiered rate plan to a time of use rate plan. Now, this was mandated by the California Public Utility Commission, but overall, what has happened is since October, and really even earlier than that, October of 2020, we began part of the statewide effort to move customers to a time of use rate. And the reason for that is to ensure that we have a reliable electric grid for the future. That's one of the main reasons. It's also to more closely align costs based on the time of day that energy is being used. You know, energy is a lot cheaper during the time when renewable resources are more plentiful, when they're more available. So therefore, the time of use costs, they more closely align with that. And then also, we want to make sure that we are meeting the aggressive renewable energy goals that we have as well across the state. So reliability is a key factor, making sure that we can have a sustainable grid for the future, and then also helping to ensure that we're doing our part for the state and the environmental purposes. So we started this transition back in October. This is actually our last month in April, where we are transitioning customers. And it's just to get them more educated with time of use. Customers still have choice when it comes to their electric rate plan. So that's really the only difference, is that customers were automatically moved to a time of use rate in some cases, unless they made a choice to choose another rate plan or to decline the transition. But outside of that, time of use is still the same. You know, it doesn't just matter how much energy you use, but also what time of day. So if you're on a time of use rate plan, you want to make sure that you are doing your best to shift your energy to those off-peak periods when the prices are lower and renewable energy is more available.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
Another question I know that comes up a lot, people say, this electrification sounds great for indoor air quality, for making it, reducing our greenhouse gas impact, but I'm a little concerned with any like public safety power shutoffs or the wildfires that came through, and I'm afraid I won't be able to have hot water or be able to to take a shower or to cook. What are the options, and how do you respond to that? And I will open that to everybody.
I get that question a lot. First of all, keep in mind most gas appliances today require electricity. Your gas furnace won't work and keep you warm. Your air conditioner won't work without an electric motor pushing the air through your ducting. Also, I jokingly tell my clients, how much do you pay to go out into a wilderness campsite and camp out with your family for a weekend or a week? Well, you can do it in your home for nothing, you know, get out the little tiny propane stove, even though you're going to be polluting the atmosphere, but you can heat your beans. And you know, it happens. I live in a spot that I've been in this house for 21 years. We have never lost power in 21 years. Now, people say, oh, you're on a hospital grid. But it is a factor, and we do, for many of our folks here in Sonoma County. So we do install generators. If you have a business at home and that's mission critical, you know, the batteries have come along. They're much more reasonable than they were. We can put you on a critical loads panel to make sure that your refrigerator and your home office stay powered up for days. And if it's in the summer, the solar will keep your house running, you know, with ample batteries. So, you know, it's what happens when your gas station's closed, you know, and you got to drive down the street and hope they're open. There's some little minor inconveniences in modern living, but I certainly would not refrain from protecting our environment because you might go a day or two having to use flashlights and you know, going down the road and getting a takeout instead of being able to cook your own meal. Or yeah, it's an issue, but I haven't had any of our clients ever say, boy, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of the gas because I had to go 2 days during a shutdown. We have solutions for that. It costs you a little money, but pretty minor inconvenience in the big scheme of things.
Can you just add on there real quickly? Can everybody hear me okay?
Is this Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, please,
Yes.
maybe if you could just say who you are and.
Yeah, my name is Jennifer Green. I'm Manager of Customer Programs at MCE, and we serve Marin, Napa, Solano, part of Solano, and Contra Costa counties. And I just wanted to piggyback like a little bit level higher than even what John was talking about in terms of electrification, and say that each of the community choice energy providers, as well as PG&E and the California Public Utilities Commission, are working towards greater resiliency in the power grid so that those PSPS events don't happen in the first place. So that's one way to look at the future of electrification, is that everybody is working together to make it happen so that we don't even have to be concerned with when the power goes out. But then when it does go out, you know, you can do the camping style like John was talking about.
If I could just throw one other little thing out there about that. So we as a society are supporting two energy grids right now, the gas grid and the electric grid. If we can close that gas grid down, first of all, it's going to be a lot more gentle on our planet, but also we could take all that money into hardening our electric grid. And you know, the gas grid has its problems. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. We just had our street torn up in front of my house because one of our neighbors' gas lines was leaking out in the street. And they were without gas for weeks because that leak had to be dealt with. So, you know, I always like that saying, there's no magic bullet, but we got a lot of, or no silver bullet, but we got a lot of silver BBs. And yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. So, and I think you sort of touched on it, but what we also heard is that in an emergency, like an earthquake, it's the gas that causes, is a little bit more hazardous because, it can lead to a lot of fires, which obviously is one of the biggest concerns after a disaster. So as people are interested in doing more electrification, and there's also the question, is my panel sized properly, or can my electric panel handle adding all these new loads? I don't know, Colleen or any of the CCAs here might be able to talk about what are the options for, do I have to upgrade it? Do I, is there assistance available? Yeah.
Yeah, happy to jump in and also leave it up for anyone else to add in. But most average homes in the Bay Area can be fully electrified with a 200 amp panel. And then there are some other solutions, as I think some other people on this call have mentioned, how you could do full electrification for a panel that is less than the 200 amp. But there are different resources as well to help with that. So as a Silicon Valley Clean Energy customer, you can get additional rebates or money off of a panel upgrade for if you're replacing your water heater or adding battery storage through different programs that we have. But that is one thing. And then also it's good to know, what you may be wanting to include on that panel kind of before you make the change. If you want to go all electric, it's good to know. And if you want to add any electric vehicles to charge, that is also good information to consider when you're making a panel upgrade.
Wonderful. I will just call on another one of our energy advisors, because I know he's lurking there, Jason. If you may even touch on what can people do in terms of utilizing their current panel.
Well, so I guess one thing that we come from is sorry about my hair. I wasn't really planning on presenting tonight.
Sorry.
But one thing we look at is like conservation. So a lot of folks reach out to us and they say, I heard from my electrician, or I heard from a contractor or solar PV installer that I'm going to need to upgrade my panel size in order to incorporate these new upgrades. And being a conservative or conservation program, there are many options actually, as long as your panel is safe. There can be possible ways to combine circuitry. A lot of old homes were, say, dedicating 15 to 20 circuits per light circuit. And nowadays we've converted from incandescent to LED, and that's reduced the need for 600 watts or 2000 watts per electric circuit. So we're seeing the ability to say, maybe you've got 6 circuits in a 2,000 square foot house, maybe they combine that down to 2, and now you've just freed up 60 amps. So there are ways. There's also something called load switches. There are smart panels. There are smart sub panels. There's a lot of different ways to manage your load that you have currently. You might have an EV charger. If you're using that 24 hours a day, probably not. If you're using it a few hours of the day, the times that you're not using it, that circuit could be rededicated to a heat pump dryer or a heat pump water heater. So there are several ways. Don't get sticker shock or frightened that you're stuck with trying to get an upgrade. Definitely reach out to us. Another really wonderful resource that exists out there, I don't have the link on me right now, but you can look up the Peninsula Clean Energy Electrification Pocket Guide, and it's just a mere 100 pages long and explains just about every single thing you can imagine when you're trying to electrify houses 3,000 square feet or smaller. But that takes care of the majority of our folks here in the Bay Area. So feel free to reach out to us. Happy to explain what options might exist and have further discussions.
Wonderful. Thank you for jumping in on short notice, Jason. I'll try to give you a little bit more notice next time. So we have just a couple minutes left. I think we've answered, thank you again for all the people behind the scenes answering all the questions. And, if we don't get to your questions, we will follow up with you and provide some more resources in the follow-up. So with our last 4 minutes left, just thought we'd go around really quickly. If there's any burning tidbit of information on, what would you do to go and save energy? What's something new and exciting out there? Let's please share with the group. So maybe starting in the order that we did before, Jessica, if you have anything to mention.
Sorry, it would not let me get off mute. I would just refer customers to go online to pge.com. There's so many tools and resources available there. There's a home energy checkup tool. There is a lot of energy saving tips, and there's information on the slide that I provided that I know you'll be sharing out afterwards that provides information about different programs that can help customers save energy and ultimately save money, which I think is one of the #1 things that we're looking at today is how can we reduce costs for customers and get those resources out to them. So there's so many helpful resources. And if customers don't feel comfortable going online to do that, they can simply give us a call in the contact center. The number is on the bill, and they'd be happy to walk them through all of those options.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Great. Colleen, any last tidbits of advice?
Yeah, I think I will use this time to say I encourage you all to check out your local community energy provider, their website, and the phone and email will be provided in the slides as well. And I'm also going to say, I know we haven't talked about too much of induction, but from personal experience, I have a little portable induction cooktop that I tried out, see what it is, and I, love it. I think it's such a great way and fun way to cook. And so this is, combining my two passions of energy and cooking into one. And so I wanted just to share that today and see if you want, are interested in what it is. I encourage you to try it as well.
Yes, and I will throw in there that some CCAs and PG&E have an induction learning program. I have 2 in my kitchen, and my nickname is Cheffery, so I would not compromise on quality of cooking. And I do use my induction every day. And I will also say we are planning to hold a series of kitchen electrification demos. So you can go to our YouTube page, which I will link. You can see past cooking demos that we've done, and we are going to try, be on the lookout for some of these fun cooking demonstrations we're going to do in the next couple months. We'll have them in Chinese, Spanish. We'll cook all kinds of different things. It'll be a party. Elena, any last words of advice?
I'm very new with the company, and before I start working here, I didn't know anything about it. So now I'm very careful, just little things make a difference. Turn off your lights, your heater, your AC. Before I start working here, I didn't put attention to those details, and we don't have to start all over here. That just make a difference with the small things.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes we just need that, or changes to be bite-sized. So Elena and all our energy advisors are there to help you figure out what's your next step. John, what would you do? Once you get off mute.
Trying to, oh, there we go. Sorry, I had a stubborn mute button there. I would encourage people to start becoming aware of how heat pumps are a technological wonder, much like electric cars are. I'm going to ask Felicia to plug Sonoma Clean Power's Advanced Energy Center. I hope the whole Bay Area comes up and takes advantage of this. They have every basic electric appliance and someone to explain how they operate, and You can kick the tires and the shells of the outdoor units of the mini splits. And I will just mention, you have a heat pump in your home right now. It's called the refrigerator. The miracle of modern heat pumps is that they're DC driven, which allows them to infinitely vary their delivery instead of just being on or off. And they're remarkably efficient. So this technology has come along when we need it the most. Check into it. It's going to be the prime heart of our buildings going into the future.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, Felicia, I have visited the Advanced Energy Center. It is amazing. Felicia, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I'm Felicia Smith. I work for Sonoma Clean Power. We serve Sonoma and Mendocino. And in Santa Rosa last year, we opened up basically a brick and mortar to demonstrate all of these high efficiency technologies that we want folks to get a little bit more accustomed to, be able to have their questions answered, see some of this technology, and really demonstrate what a clean all electric home kind of looks and feels like. Beautiful space located in downtown Santa Rosa. We're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and we would love for you to drop by and ask some questions.
Yeah, definitely. While you're out there doing some wine tasting, might as well go see some electrification technologies. That's what me and my wife did. I just want to end on, we know that there's a lot of information today. And so and we are here to help. Again, BayREN is a collaboration of the county governments in the 9 county governments in the Bay Area, obviously. And so our goal is to help you. We know it's confusing, but we're here to help you on the way. And my wife is a nurse at Stanford, so I always kind of use the analogy that as we look at our homes and our behaviors, what we want to do is almost take that medical kind of process where we figure out what's wrong in our homes. We're not trying to guess. We diagnose what the problem is, and based on that diagnosis, now we know what's going to make us better. Do we exercise? We take the right medicine. So we want to be that for your home. People like John and all the participating contractors that are on the call here, that's kind of what they do. They go out and they're almost like building doctors. They help diagnose, where are those leaks, and then how do you fix them? And they're the ones who go and do that work for you. So we are here to help you through that process, whether it's just figuring out what are some behaviors to reduce that peak usage, to all the way electrifying your whole house to zero net energy. We're that resource, and we hope you continue to follow us. I will put our YouTube page up. We have a lot of great resources. Feel free to contact our energy advisors. That's what they're here for. That's that's our service that we provide free of charge, and we hope you continue to engage. So thank you all very much. Happy Earth Day. And as I'll be sending out that follow-up email, and you can, you'll probably have my own contact information. Try not to use it too much, but I will make sure you're connected to the right people. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, and thank you to all our panelists as well.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night.